everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bowman Legacies podcast. We are brought to you by, of course, Bowman Legacies, where we teach you how to lead both at home and at work and in life. We work on the whole person at Bowman Legacies. So check us out, bowmanlegacies.com/lead from the middle. This is a impactful course that is changing the face of how people lead organizationally across the United States right now. Guys, today I want to talk to you about something that just keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up. And I was asked this question not too long ago on a podcast. And the question was presented to me in this way. It was presented to me in asking me, what is the number one problem that leaders face today? What's the number one common problem you're seeing leaders face today? Or what is the worst problem that you see leaders facing today? And here's the problem with that problem. Here's the problem with that question. Man, I just was thinking about it, and just all these ideas was flooding into my mind. All these thoughts were flooding into my mind. And then I came to the realization, I think one of the worst problems that any leader faces, both at home and at work, that is constantly popping up all the time, is the inability for any one person to look at themselves objectively. I hope you guys aren't hearing that. It's driving me nuts. These mic stands are making me crazy. Is any one leader having that inability to look at themselves objectively? Now, at a very young age, I know for us in my generation, we were definitely taught not to look inwardly. Our motivation was to complain about everything that was going on around us and to look at whoever was living life with us, whether that was at work or at home, and making sure they understood how they were not measuring up in one way or another. And that's really unfortunate. Honestly, that's terrible. Because what happens is whoever you're living with, whoever you're at home or at work, whoever you're functioning with, they constantly feel like they're never going to be enough because you are not looking objectively inwardly. You see, what happens when you do this consistently is people feel like they have to be a part of a cult just to be a part of your life. In other words, if they're not telling you everything is wonderful and everything's beautiful coming up in your life, then they somehow don't belong and they're culturally unsound or unfit for you. I was this way early in our marriage. Early in my marriage with my wife, I had such an enormous ego, and that ego took a lot to feed. I'm just going to be honest with you. That ego, you had to be my friend, compliment me and show me how great I was, because I was constantly trying to domineer you and make sure you knew where your place was in the hierarchy of our friendship. That wasn't okay. That wasn't okay. And as I began to see that displayed in others, and then saw that in me, it disgusted me about myself. And then I was lost as how to change it. Where do I go? How do I motivate myself to change this thing within me? That all of my problems, whether they be communication problems, whether they be leadership issues or relational issues, why is everybody against me? Why is everybody, how do I say this? Why is everybody misunderstanding me? I'm always the one who's misunderstood. I'm always the one who no one takes the time to try to get to know or understand. Why isn't the world understanding me? And what that created in me was a very bitter, very angry person. And I could begin to lash out and lash out and lash out. And that's what happens to you. And as you begin to not be able to look at yourself objectively and really see how you're affecting the world around you, the people around you will either accept that cult and wax your ego every chance they get because they themselves don't have the self-esteem to stand up to you, or they're going to walk. They're going to walk. So many businesses are this way. Several months ago, I was talking to a guy and he said, Michael, you know the culture that we have here, it's next to none. 2 days prior to that conversation, I had talked to an individual who had been at that organization and said, hey, the back channels here are on fire. Everybody's just looking at this place as a step up to get in the industry because they know they'll take anyone. Culturally, this place is bankrupt. And I wept the day I left. I cried. Now, this is a very grown man. This is a athletic, strong man. I'm not saying men don't cry. Men cry. I cry all the time. I cry at the drop of a hat, and sometimes I'm the one dropping the hat. And he was miserable. Now, several days later, I'm talking to one of the leaders in his life that's been in his life for several years saying, we have a great culture here. It's next to none. No, you don't. You have a bankrupt cult culture that in order for people to get down with it, they either need to tell you everything's coming up roses and feed your ego every time and pat your little fanny and make you know that you're okay, or leave, or be that person who's trying to be the voice of reason. And here's one of the problems of being the voice of reason in any cult culture, whether that's a person that you're dating, you're married to, you yourself, you speaking to your own self, or the cult culture of any organization across the board. Here's the problem. When you're the voice of reason, you're always going to be seen as a threat, and you will always be perceived as culturally unsound. And they will look for ways to get rid of you. So what you have to realize is when you're on that end of it, are you casting your pearls before the swine? Because honestly, when you cast your pearls before the swine, what that means is you're actually taking something priceless, something beautiful, something valuable like a pearl, and you're putting it in the trough, a feeding trough of a pig. And when that pig consumes it, because its stomach can't break it down, it just ends up in their shit. This beautiful, priceless, gorgeous pearl is now embedded in pig shit. And that is what it's like with your truths. As you're bringing truth and reason into a cult culture, they're taking that pearl and they're consuming it, but they cannot understand it. And now it's wasted. Now it's just in shit. No one would take a pearl and go, I'm just going to put this and embed this and boop. No one's going to do it because it's worth money. Your truths that you're bringing in that culture aren't being received because these people are swine. They're pigs. They cannot get it. They're not smart enough to understand. Why? Because they cannot look at themselves objectively and see how they're performing in life. Because a lot of the times people judge that, especially business leaders, by the fact that they have money. They've got the big house. They've got the nice car. They're wearing the good clothes. They've got a great website. They've got a good presence online. So now they're just judging that all as success. And people are coming to them as success. And all these people on the outside are telling them how great they are. Well, of course they can't look at themselves objectively because all they're hearing is non-objective thought of people who don't actually know the core of who they are. So what do? What do you have to do here? You need to start asking yourself, am I a pig? Am I one of the swine? Can I look at myself truly objectively? I was talking to a president of an organization one time. I was very upset with him. And we're sitting down for lunch, and I'll never forget, as my client, I looked at him and I said, hey, look. Here are all the places that you're not performing. You're telling everybody what they want to hear, and you are not giving them what they want. So you're telling them what they want to hear, and you're doing just the opposite. You're telling them, hey, here's everything that you want, everything that you desire. And he had this really keen ability to understand it. Here's everything you want, everything that you desire, and I'm going to give it to you. And then he never performed. He never performed, no matter what. He had all the beautiful things to say. And I said, man, you're great at inspiring people. You're great at telling people what they want to hear, but you're terrible at follow through and actually doing what you said you were going to do. And this is what he told me. I cannot believe this. But before I tell you what he told me, and what he told me was so valuable and keen on the inside of who he was as a man and as a leader. And it helped my practice to jettison even further from what it did before and helped me to grow as a consultant and a coach. I said, your team is anemic, they're suffering, and I can only imagine what things are like for you at home if you're performing in this way. Now, that's my job. That's my job as a consultant, is to challenge, to bring these challenges to these people, which is kind of sketchy because they can go, "You are fired." But that's why you hire a coach. That's why you hire a consultant, is to challenge you. And so here I am challenging him. Your entire team dislikes you. They think you're a liar. They think you're a narcissist. They think all you care about is looking good and not actually being good. They think that all you want to do is give them these promises, but not follow through, because really all you want to do is drive the nice car. All you want to do is be seen in the nice house and influence online and look good and not be good. And this is what he said to me. And it forever changed me in that moment. He said, "Michael, you sound just like my wife." In that moment, there wasn't any "thank you, Michael." In that moment, there wasn't any great, keen insight that you gave me there, Michael. In that moment, there wasn't any "thank you for challenging me and actually holding me accountable and doing exactly what I paid you to do and helping me to rise to a higher level." No, sir. It was, "You sound exactly like my wife." Guys, is that you today? Are you facing problems from your past that keep coming back up and you're blaming everyone but how you're reacting to them? Are you constantly berating other people around you because they're not performing at your level? Because let me tell you something, they never will. They're never going to please you. Because if that's you, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If it's you in business, your back channels will always be on fire, and people will always be using your organization as a stepping stone to get in and get out. Once they figure out who you really are, once they see the real you, they're going to leave. And when they do leave, they're going to tell everybody else. That's a fact. I have seen that time and time and time again. They are going to tell everybody else. In your personal life, the same thing will happen. And the only people that will be attracted to being around you are like-minded people or subservient people who are never really looking out for your best. They're just wanting to suck your energy and your life force from you and be a part of it. They just want to be near you. I just want to be near you. I just want to be near you. Ticks. They're just ticks. And then when you are dry and there's nothing left of you, they move on to their next victim. Let me tell you something. The people that I want to surround myself with are people that are going to help me hone my character, who are going to hold me accountable to who I am, even when I can't see it. Because sometimes I'm holding so white-knuckled to whatever it is that I'm doing, whether that's work, life, being at home, I don't see the way I'm performing. I'll never forget what my daughter told me. My oldest daughter said this to me. She said, "Dad, sometimes you feel so passionate about wanting to fix this or that you talk and talk and talk, and you really, what mom needs, what I need, what my younger sister needs is for you to just listen sometimes and not go into fix mode and reaction mode right away." And she said, "I understand that's your business. Your job is to go in and fix things right away and in real time. And if you don't get paid." But she goes, "It isn't that way here." And sometimes it makes you come across as a know-it-all. It makes you come across as if you don't trust us to be able to get the job done or be able to perform in life. And sometimes it feels very condescending and unloving. And I didn't realize I was performing in that way. And I still do it. Guys, I still do it. Remember, if you're looking for perfection, you're looking at the wrong guy. This guy sitting here right now in this chair has more issues than Time Magazine. Okay? We're all rowing in the same boat. Turn around. I'm right behind you. Get your oar in the water. We've got places to go. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I've got to strive to remember to look within and ask myself, how am I performing in this way? And that takes discipline. And that's where a lot of people they just throw it out. They throw it out. They don't want to do this. They don't want to change. They don't want to grow. They don't want to adapt. They don't want to become something new. something polished, something useful. Instead, they just feel it's easier to stay the old way. And there's a lot of people who don't know how, and they need your help. They want to change, they want to grow, they want to adapt, but they need your patience. They need your grace to help them see that through. Now look, if you find yourself as a leader today and you realize things aren't going as well as they should, the first thing that you need to do is look in the mirror. And you need to be able to look objectively. Now, when I say objectively, this is what I mean. Some of us are so blind to how we are affecting those around us as leaders or just people in life in general that our back channels are on fire. People hate us and we don't care until we have to care. Other people see their faultedness, they see their brokenness, and then they beat themselves up about it. Objectively means I see the issue that I have currently. I know there's a problem, so I'm going to ask my peers how I'm doing and act accordingly and ask for help. And I'm not going to beat myself up in this moment. I'll never forget having a 14-year-old daughter that I picked up from ballet. And I know I needed an objective look on how I was doing as a father. So I asked my wife. She said I was doing pretty good. She had some adjustments to make, but none of them were condemning or damning or bad or anything like that. They were just adjustments that need to be made. My oldest daughter, I asked her, and she said, "You're doing a great job, Dad. I love you." I asked my 14-year-old daughter. Here we are outside of the Chick-fil-A that I had bought her for dinner. We're in the parking lot sitting there chilling, and I asked her, "Hey, babe, how am I doing as a dad?" And she told me. And for 15 minutes, I got to hear how terrible of a job I was doing. Now, were all of those things objective? Were all of those things true? No. But a lot of them absolutely was. And so instead of taking those things emotionally and getting mad because I asked, I took those things to my wife, my other daughter, my accountability partner. I took them to Eric and measured them up with Eric, and guess what? Oh boy, she was right about a lot of it. You see, she had this keen perspective, and I had no idea because everybody else was patting my fanny, telling me I'm doing a pretty good job, so my ego was just raging and feeling good. But feeling good isn't always the answer, guys. Feeling good is not always the answer. If you want to progress in life and become something even greater than you ever thought imaginable, being uncomfortable and challenging yourself is where the real growth happens, not when life is easy. So if you want to be a great leader, look within. Look within. Start looking at how you are performing. Stop pointing your fingers at everyone else. And start looking how you are doing and perfect that, and you would be amazed. I don't care if you're a CEO today. I don't care if you're a president of an organization or you're just starting out in this life, in your career, and whatever you're doing. Look within, because when those changes happen, you resonate on a whole higher level. And it's unbelievable what you can establish. The narcissist leader who can't look within establishes a lot fast, but it keeps crumbling in. And then he'll establish more and it'll build and it'll keep crumbling in. It's like this house of cards. Eventually the wind is going to hit it, but you are going to build foundations that stand strong. And that's what builds you a legacy that will far surpass your legend. And that's what causes you to inspire others to want to do the same. And that, my friends, is how we change our world. Once again, we are brought to you by Bowman Legacies. Check us out at bowmanlegacies.com/lead from the middle. This course will teach you how to master chain of command and understand it, how to master and understand discipline with a balance, how to understand accountability, how to understand how to engage and inspire your people, how to understand how to walk in your greatness, and how to understand how to put down those damning thoughts. Those damning thoughts inside of your head. It's going to teach you how to reprogram your mind. I love you. If you haven't heard it this week, hear it and receive it. I love you because the good Lord loves me. And if he can love this knucklehead, I sure can love all of you right where you're at. Have a phenomenal week. Keep going and keep growing.